Welcome back to my shop. My name is Jeff Jewitt, and in the last video that I did, I showed you how to do a very standard nitrocellulose lacquer finish on an acoustic guitar. That's the type of finish that you'd find on a Martin, a Guild, or a Gibson. In this video, however, what we're going to do is we're going to step up your finishing a notch, and we're going to show you how to do a two-component, or sometimes called catalyzed urethane finish. It's a very tough and very durable finish, and you'd find it on some of the smaller guitar makers out there today. People like Larrivee, Bourgeois, and Goodall, just to name a few. Now, just as with nitrocellulose lacquer, this finish is spray applied. You need a safe area to apply it, and you have to do it properly. What makes it a different finish than nitrocellulose is that you have to be a little bit more diligent in mixing the components and using them. The components are a little bit more hazardous than nitrocellulose lacquer. So, let's show you the components that we're going to be using, some of the safety equipment, and then we'll step into the finishing booth and start putting this type of finish on this copy of an LOO that I made. In a typical lacquer finish, like what's on this OM, what we do is we apply a product called vinyl sealer to seal the instrument. Then, on the open grain walnut, we apply a product called pastewood filler. Pastewood filler is a product that's designed to fill the grains so that we get a glass smooth finish so that we can then apply our gloss top coats. In a catalyzed urethane finish, the procedure is pretty much the same, except the pastewood filler stage is replaced by a product called polyester. There's a lot of advantages to polyester, but for guitars, there's two main ones. One, it's totally water clear, so it won't change the color, which is nice on a figured wood like this figured mahogany. The second benefit is that it doesn't shrink. It cures by a chemical reaction, and once it's cured, it doesn't change. And that's a real benefit on guitars such as mahogany or rosewood, because 6 months, a year, or even 2 years down the road, you won't see any pore telegraphing come back and show through the finish. The urethane finish that we're going to be applying to this rosewood LOO consists of 3 products. The products that I use are made by Ilva, which is an Italian company, but they do have distribution here in the United States. I've used these products for over 25 years on both guitars and furniture. They're good products, I trust them, and they have great technical staff. Now, if you live in a different country that doesn't have Ilva products, you might have to search a little bit, but basically what you want to look for is products to do a 2-component urethane finish with a polyester base coat. I'm going to talk about the 3 different finishes in a little bit more detail. Now, one of the other things about Ilva that I like is that if you ask, they will send you out a schedule book. And we're going to be following the schedule book on page 11, which is the clear polyurethane wet look system. And it gives you all the product mixing instructions, ratios, dry times, sanding, and all that kind of stuff very conveniently on one page. The first product we're going to apply takes the place of the vinyl sealer. It's called an isolante or a barrier coat. It's 2 components that are mixed together, applied, allowed to dry. Then we'll go ahead and apply the polyester base coat. The base coat is mixed from 3 separate components and then uses acetone to thin it. When that's dry, we'll sand that back so that we have a dead flat finish. The last stage that we'll do is we'll apply the 2-component urethane top coats. There's 2 components to this, a hardener and a urethane finish, and those are mixed in equal ratios and then applied just like lacquer. The nice thing about 2-component lacquer, though, is that you don't have to wait 6, 8, 10, 12 weeks or whatever for it to cure before buffing. You can go to the buffer and the wet sanding process very quickly, usually in about 2 weeks. Let's talk about these products, the equipment that you'll need to apply them, and the safety equipment in a little bit more detail. The big difference between using products such as these and something like lacquer is that these products are sold in different components and they have to be mixed in specific ratios before you use them. Now, fortunately, ILVA gives you some nice instructions and guidelines for mixing. I use mixing by weight. For me, it's a lot easier. So, I use a normal kitchen scale to measure. You'll also need some clean mixing containers, something to mix with, some rags. Also, you need some solvent-resistant gloves made out of nitrile. These are a good product to use, and they're disposable. And more importantly, when you mix and, of course, use them, you need respiratory protection. A cartridge-style respirator is absolutely mandatory when mixing and when using them. In addition, several of these products can cause severe eye damage if they splash in your eyes. So I recommend a pair of chemical safety goggles. These goggles have side splash protection to keep the full area of your eyes protected. The first product we're going to apply is called the barrier or isolating coat. It consists of two parts, a hardener and a resin. And then there's a third component, which is the thinner if you want to count that. It's important to use this particular product on woods like rosewood, because if you don't use this product, the polyester or the second part of this process won't cure at all. So this is an important step, and what it really does is replaces the vinyl sealer in a traditional lacquer finish. Once the barrier coat or isolating sealer is applied, it's allowed to dry overnight, and then we apply the polyester base coat. This consists of 3 separate products, and they have to be mixed very precisely. The thinner for the polyester is acetone, and you can just get this at a local hardware store, which I did. This product is very similar to fiberglass resin or Bondo if you've ever used it, and it has to be mixed very, very carefully. The activator for it is methyl ethyl ketone peroxide. And that's a very hazardous product, so that's where you really need to wear those safety glasses when you're mixing the polyester. I also wear a respirator. Once the polyester filler has been applied and sanded back and we have a level surface, the final component we apply is the 2-component or catalyzed urethane top coat. This consists of 2 components, a resin and a hardener, and then also a thinner if you have to adjust the viscosity. Now, it's really important that when you use this product that you work outdoors if you don't have a spray booth or in a spray booth and wear a cartridge-style respirator. I'll talk a little bit more about respiratory protection when we get to using this product, but it is a hazardous component and you have to take care when using it. To apply these products, you can use the same equipment that you use to apply lacquer and other finishes. But in this video, I'm going to introduce you to the 3M PPS system. The PPS system is a system of disposable lids and liners, as well as atomizing heads for the gun. And that's important with this type of finish for the following reason. If you ever have one of these finishes like polyester cure inside your gun, you're basically going to have to throw that gun out. So, we're going to show you a little bit about how to use the PPS. Now, if you don't want to get into that type of an expenditure, you can always use other guns. I would recommend when applying the polyester to just use a cheap gun as you can. The quality of the finish when applying the polyester base coat isn't real important because you're going to sand most of it off anyways. When it comes to applying the clear top coats, though, you do want to use a good quality spray gun.